Hello and welcome to the Amateur Austenite. My name is Frances Duncan. I am an author and the founder of the Jane Austen Society of New Zealand. I have no qualifications for my job. I am and always have been an enthusiastic amateur, which is why this podcast is called the Amateur Austenite. Shout out today goes to my tech guy who helped set this up so it will be on iTunes from now on. Today we are going to be discussing Chapter 5 of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So in this chapter, the Bennets gossip with the Lucases about the ball. That the Miss Lucases and the Miss Bennet should meet to talk over a ball was absolutely necessary. It's an interesting use of the term absolutely necessary. The chapter starts with a background on Sir William Lucas and his family. He was formerly in trade and he was all attention to everybody. And the chapter ends with a funny argument between Mrs. Bennet and one of the young Lucas boys about drinking. Several themes appear in this chapter. The first of these, I think, is gossip. The Bennets and the Lucases are getting together to gossip about the ball. They discuss overheard conversations. What I overheard between him, Mr. Bingley, and Mr. Robinson, did not I mention it to you? Mr. Robinson's asking how he liked our Meryton assemblies, and whether he did not think there were a great many pretty women in the room in which he thought the prettiest, and is answering immediately to the last question, "Oh, the eldest Miss Bennet, beyond a doubt. There cannot be two opinions on that point." That's Charlotte Lucas repeating what she heard. They also talk about conversations which people were involved in. Mrs. Bennet says, "Mrs. Long told me last night that he, Mr. Darcy this time, sat close to her for half an hour without once opening his lips." And then they also just gossip about gossip. Mrs. Long does not keep a carriage and had come to the ball in a hack chaise. This is Mrs. Bennet again, thinking that that's the reason that Mr. Darcy doesn't like Mrs. Long. Or perhaps that's why he may not like her. Another theme of this chapter is friendship. The friendship between the Miss Lucases and the Miss Bennets. I think it's quite amusing that Mrs. Bennet is also there for this conversation so the girls can't talk privately. I think Charlotte's poor Eliza, to be only just tolerable, is quite sympathetic, though it has been pointed out that it could also be read the other way as catty. The third theme for this chapter, I think, and a huge overarching theme for the novel, is pride. This is the first time it's mentioned in the novel, and there's quite a diatribe on it. Miss Lucas says, "His pride does not offend me so much as pride often does. So very fine a young man, with family, fortune, everything in his favour, should think highly of himself. He has a right to be proud." And Elizabeth replies, "I could easily forgive his pride if he had not mortified mine." Then Mary goes on to sermonise about this. "There are very few of us who do not cherish a feeling of self-complacency on the score of some quality or other, real or imaginary. A person may be proud without being vain. Pride relates more to our opinion of ourselves, vanity to what we would have others think of us." It's interesting, I think, because Mary is described as vain, but she would prefer to be thought of as proud, potentially. And Elizabeth's quote, "I could easily forgive his pride if he had not mortified mine," could very easily, I think, sum up the entirety of this novel. Jane Austen doesn't often use italics, but she does twice in this sentence alone, just as Miss Lucas uses them earlier. "His pride does not offend me," italics. "He has a right," italics, "to be proud." And Elizabeth, "I could easily forgive his," italics, "pride had he not mortified mine," italics. So it's a good way to emphasize that they're really feeling this conversation. This is another short chapter, just 3 pages, and this is the second chapter where they discuss the ball in some detail. Remember in chapter 4, Elizabeth and Jane discuss the ball, and Darcy and Bingley discuss the ball. Now in this chapter, they're discussing the ball with their wider circle of friends. Perhaps Mr. Darcy is proud in a good way. Maybe he's not vain. He certainly has enough pride in his family to be a good landlord, for example, which none of this we discover until later. And that is my summary of Chapter 5 of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. My name is Frances Duncan. You can find me at francesduncanwrites.com and on Twitter at Francis_Duncan. Thank you for listening. I wish you happy reading.